Hey, what's cooking, Jay?
Hello everyone, welcome back to Gunther's Kitchen. Today I like to take you back to Austria, to Vienna, and the most famous cake in Vienna, the Sacher Torte. This is the Sacher Torte, the way I learned it when I did my apprenticeship in Bad Ischl in Austria, and I hope you enjoy it and you will try the same recipe and you are successful 100%. Okay, let's start. So what you need for the recipe is you need eggs, butter, good chocolate, dark chocolate. I used 70% cocoa chocolate, vanilla bean, icing sugar, white sugar. You need plain flour, all-purpose flour. You need some almonds. You need some baking powder. And that's it. We also will need some apricot jam for the filling. Check out my YouTube on the apricot jam, absolutely beautiful. And we make some sugar syrup with some rum, and we need some chocolate icing. And that's the way I make the famous Austrian cake. So what we do first is we put the butter. I've got two machines, so it's a bit easier for me, but you can do the same with one machine. You just have to clean it out and swap it over. So I use the butter, the icing sugar, and about 2 grams of vanilla paste, and I put it into the machine. We use the whisk, and then I just let it run. By the way, the butter was soft. Yeah, it's room temperature, so it's very soft. It's summer in Australia, so you can imagine. And then we turn it up and we just let it run until it gets white, almost white, nice and fluffy. In the meantime, we separate our eggs. So I've got a bowl here for the egg yolks. Make sure your bowl is really clean, has to be fat-free. If there is any grease or anything in it, the egg white won't whip up. I've separated the eggs. The egg white is in our mixing bowl. So we're going to put that into our machine. And as you can see, I have got 3 egg yolks less, or 3 egg whites more than the egg yolks. So I'm not going to use those. We can leave them when we make hollandaise or something. By the way, check out the hollandaise video. Okay, so now we're going to whip this up. We start whipping this until it gets a little bit fluffy. Then we're adding our sugar. By the way, measurements are all in the descriptions, yeah? So you can just look it up and write down your recipe or cut and paste it. I've got a tin here, a cake tin, and I lined it with parchment paper or greaseproof paper as we call it. And then I still sprayed it with cooking spray, with oil spray. While the butter is nearly whipped enough, we will add the chocolate. The only thing with the butter you have to make sure is that it doesn't stick to the side of the bowl. So you sometimes have to take a spatula and clean it down. Now the egg yolks and the butter is sort of all nicely whisked together. Now we're adding our chocolate slowly, and we are whisking it up as well. Now the egg white is starting to whip up. So now we're starting to add our sugar gradually. And then we let it whip up until it's stiff, but we don't want to over whip it. All right, we still want the egg white to be shiny. We want the sugar to be dissolved. Okay, so now our egg white is whisked enough. It's stiff enough. So now we can turn it off and we'll be able to take it out. Okay, so in the meantime, while this is finishing, we're taking a bowl, we put our flour, and we put our almond meal, and we're adding 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I always like to use a little whisk to mix everything evenly together. Let me take the egg white out. We're taking the butter mix out, and the reason why I use the bigger bowl for the butter is because now we can incorporate our egg white into the bigger bowl. As the teacher in your apprenticeship, always light into heavy. Never heavy into light when you make a cake. Take a larger whisk and we take about a third of our egg whites and we can just mix it in freely. Yeah, so that gives you air. I know the egg white's gonna be destroyed a bit, but the rest of the egg whites we just fold under very gently. We do more egg whites and we're adding a little bit of our flour. And we just go from the middle to the edge, middle to the edge. Always go from the middle to the edge. And while you do that, you turn your bowl. So you always get the bottom part as well. We use our card again. And we put the cake mix in the tin. It's very light, very airy cake mix. So what I like to do, and the way I learned it, is you go from the middle to the edge and you put it onto the edge. Should help it to rise evenly. I preheated the oven on 180. Just make sure it's true 180. You know your oven better than anyone else. So 50 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, so after 50 minutes, do a little toothpick or a skewer test and you see if it's cooked. If the skewer comes out clean. It's about 50 minutes and we take it out. Beautiful. Let's put it on the rack and put it on for a while. As you can see, putting it up the side really made a difference. It's almost evenly square. It's time to turn the cake up. So what we do is we take a knife and let it run against the wall of the cake tin. All right? Should come out easily because we've got paper on the bottom. All right, let's do this. And yep, the paper is even still in there. Beautiful. Now it's still a bit warm. We give it another 15 minutes and then we cut it in half. All right, so let's cut it in half. Turn it upside down, put it on the board. And so what we do is we cut it in the middle. So what you do is you can start turning the cake until you hit where you start cutting. And then you just follow the cut. If you follow the cut through, should be cut fairly straight. Okay, we made some sugar syrup. We're adding a splash of rum. Austria, we love rum. This is not straw rum, but it's Bundaberg. It's not bad either. And then what we do is we just put some of the sugar syrup all over the bottom and all over the top. And that makes it very tasty. It also keeps it really moist. So now what we do, we're adding our apricot jam. So just take our spatula, and this apricot jam, as you probably know from our other videos, we made ourselves and it's absolutely delicious. So we take our palette knife. Okay, so you need the apricot jam in the middle and then around the outside, of course. We're going to put the top on and put some sugar syrup with the rum, just a little bit all over. Then we're going to spread our hot apricot jam all over the cake. The whole purpose of having the jam on it is so that not only makes it nice and moist, but also for the chocolate glaze to stick to the cake. So it's very well glazed. So now we're going to put this in the fridge for about half an hour and let it dry out a bit, and then we put the chocolate glaze on. We use 150 gram of cream and we're going to put it in the microwave for a minute. Cream is boiling. Now we're adding 150 gram of chocolate. It's dark chocolate, 70% cocoa, same as we used on the cake, on the sponge. And now we keep stirring that until the chocolate is all dissolved and it's all smooth. We mixed all the chocolate and the milk and the cream together. As you can see, it's just a beautiful ganache, which is the topping for our chocolate cake. And we will put as much on at the same time as we can, and we just let it then run on the side. Okay? Use our palette knife and just go so what are we doing is we're transferring our cake onto a cake tray. We want to do that before the chocolate sets. Otherwise the chocolate might get stuck to the tray. Okay, it's time to cut the cake. I always like to pre-score my cake at least into 4, and then you know exactly where the middle is. So now we cut it down here, and it's always a good idea to warm up your knife a little. All right. So we probably want to get 4 slices out of each quarter. Yeah. So we cut a nice slice of the chocolate cake, and look at that. Look how perfect does that look. And as in Austria, always you serve your Sacher Torte with whipped cream. So we have got some nice fresh whipped cream here. And we are generous with the whipped cream. But if you see, it's so nice. Look at how nice the jam is through. So now let's try it. Exactly how I remember it. A nice moist chocolate cake, especially because of the almond meal, and you know, with the rum and the sugar syrup. Apricots, you can taste the apricots in the middle. So please try my piece of Austria, have a go, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. As always, like, subscribe, follow us, have the bell on, and suggest some of your ideas, what we should make. Somebody just suggested pasta. We'll do pasta soon. All right, so follow us, and I'll see you soon at Günther's Kitchen on YouTube. Bye for now.